The keyboard is one of the most underrated components of a computer. We press these keys every day, but we almost never consider how differently they operate, feel, and sound. Today, we'll explore the main types of keyboards: membrane, mechanical, optical, magnetic, scissor, and even holographic. And most importantly, we'll understand how they differ not only in technology, but also in feel. Membrane keyboards. This type of keyboard is the most common and affordable. They are most often found in offices, schools, and budget home PC builds. Their operating principle is simple. Under the key is a rubber dome that, when pressed, compresses and connects to the circuit board. The main advantages of membrane keyboards are their price, quietness, and lightness. They are quite suitable for everyday tasks. If you simply work with documents, browse websites, or occasionally type, a membrane keyboard may be more than sufficient. They have a very soft feel, sometimes even a bit cottony. Because of the rubber dome, the actuation point is not as crisp as with mechanical keyboards. When typing quickly, this can make you feel unsure whether you've pressed the key hard enough for the keystroke to register. Therefore, membrane keyboards are more of a practical and budget-friendly solution. Also, over time, the membrane on some keys will begin to feel different. This will happen on the keys that are used the most. For example, if you play games, WASD will become much easier to press than other keys. This can lead to instability in the game or when typing. Mechanical keyboards. These are the gold standard for gamers, programmers, and those who type a lot. Each key has its own dedicated switch. When pressed, a stem inside the switch, or stem, drops, causing metal contacts to touch. This contact sends a signal to the keyboard controller, registering a key press. A spring then returns the mechanism upward, breaking the circuit. Historical mechanical keyboards were the first keyboards to be developed in the 1980s and early 1990s. Almost all of them were mechanical, and the legendary IBM Model M became a symbol of that era. These keyboards were heavy, loud, and indestructible. Back then, no one tried to make keyboards quieter. On the contrary, noise was a normal part of working at a computer. Then, membrane keyboards took over the market. They were cheaper, lighter, quieter, and easier to manufacture. In the late 2000s, mechanical keyboards first returned to enthusiasts and gamers, and then, as they became more accessible, they appeared among ordinary users. Mechanical keyboards come with a variety of switch types. There are literally millions of them from different brands and with varying characteristics, but they generally fall into three types: linear, tactile, and clicky. Linear switches offer a smooth, even keystroke with no resistance or audible click mid-stroke. Linear switches are ideal for fast-paced gaming, allowing for faster double or triple clicks. Tactile switches offer a slight bump or resistance when pressed, signaling actuation. Clicky switches are typically best for fast typing, and clicky switches are similar to tactile switches but produce a distinct audible click or click when actuated, providing maximum feedback. They are also the loudest switches. All of these switches typically share three key characteristics: actuation force, actuation point, and durability. Actuation force is measured in grams. Light switches are considered to be between 35 and 45 grams, while heavy switches are considered to be 55 grams or more. The actuation point is the distance a key must travel before a press is registered. Typically, it's 1.5 to 2 millimeters. And then there's the service life. Mechanical keys are rated for 50 to 100 million keystrokes. This is significantly longer than membrane keyboards. Such keyboards can even outlast multiple computers. Overall, the advantages of mechanical keys are obvious: durability, responsiveness, repairability, and vast customization options. You can change keycaps, lubricate the spark plugs, adjust the backlighting, and customize your keyboard. Because of these vast capabilities, it's even become a separate subculture, with millions of people connecting and sharing their experiences. Optical keyboards. Their design is very similar to a mechanical keyboard, but the keystroke is detected not by a metal contact, but by a beam of light. When the key is released, the infrared beam is interrupted, and the keyboard registers the keystroke. This design eliminates the need for mechanical contact, which offers the obvious advantage of instant response and a complete absence of double clicks. Optical keys can feel very close to mechanical keys, especially if the manufacturer has a good case, stabilization, and high-quality switches. However, the main drawback is that optical keys operate without physical contact. You don't connect metal, you simply interrupt the beam of light, and this eliminates the sensation of a real keystroke. With mechanical keys, you feel the moment of actuation. The click coincides with the action. With optical keys, the entire keystroke feels smooth and hollow. Furthermore, if some optical keys do feature tactility, it's often artificial and doesn't align with the actuation point, which can make the feel unusual. So, despite their higher speed and durability, optical keys often feel inferior to mechanical ones. While this may not be a big deal for gaming, mechanical keyboards are often the preferred choice for typing.
Magnetic keyboards.
This has been perhaps the most interesting trend in keyboard development in recent years. They're also called Hall effect keyboards. It works like this. They contain a magnet inside and a Hall effect sensor on the keyboard's circuit board. When you press a key, the magnet approaches the sensor, which measures the change in the magnetic field. In these keyboards, nothing is locked, like in mechanical keyboards, or fixed, like in optical keyboards. The system simply constantly reads the key's position in space. This is what makes magnetic keyboards so special. You can fine-tune the actuation point. This means you can decide how deep you need to press a key for it to activate. For example, in shooters, you might want a very short actuation point for maximum response. Conversely, for regular typing, you can set a more comfortable depth to avoid accidental presses. This means you can completely customize a magnetic keyboard, rather than relying on preset actuation points set by the manufacturer. Another strong point is the rapid trigger feature. This mode allows the key to be triggered again almost immediately after the return stroke begins, without waiting for the standard reset point. In practice, this provides very sharp and responsive control. In games, this is especially noticeable when moving, strafing, and quickly repeating key presses. However, there are some downsides. In terms of feel, it's similar to the optical design, meaning the press is very smooth and controlled, but it's dead compared to a mechanical keyboard, which can provide both tactile feedback and a gorgeous sound. However, since the Magnetka is most often used for gaming, this drawback isn't particularly critical.
Scissor-switch keyboards.
These are the standard for laptops or low-profile keyboards. They are easily recognized by their short, crisp key travel and low profile. Underneath the key is a plastic scissor-shaped mechanism that holds the key flat and reduces key play. Inside, beneath the plastic mechanism, there's still a membrane base, but it offers a much more distinct feel when pressed. The scissor-switch mechanism is what makes laptops so comfortable to type on. It provides a short, crisp response and is well suited for devices where compactness is important. That's why laptops, Ultrabooks, and MacBooks use this type of keyboard. In terms of durability, scissor-switch keyboards typically fall somewhere between membrane and mechanical keyboards. They're good enough for everyday use, but aren't designed to last as long as full-fledged mechanical keyboards.
Holographic keyboards. These aren't your typical keyboards. They project an image of the keyboard onto a flat surface and use sensors to track your finger movements. Technically, it's a combination of laser projection and infrared tracking. A small projector displays the layout, and sensors record where your finger is and whether a keystroke has occurred. This then sends an input signal to the device. It looks very impressive, especially in demos and presentations. However, this technology has a significant drawback: the lack of physical sensation. You don't get tactile feedback, the familiar key travel, or a supportive surface for your fingers. This makes typing on such a keyboard uncomfortable, especially if you're used to touch typing or typing quickly. Therefore, a holographic keyboard is more of a gadget for show-stopping or mobile use. But you might ask, what should you choose? Which keyboard should you buy?
It's important to note that there are millions of switch types within each keyboard type, and they all feel different. It's highly recommended to try each keyboard yourself, but we can summarize this in general. If you want a pleasant typing response and sound, consider mechanical keyboards. If speed and the complete absence of double clicks are important, consider an optical or magnetic keyboard. If you need a simple, quiet, and affordable option, membrane keyboards are still a viable option. And if you want to experience how technology transforms your keyboard into a sci-fi device, the holographic version is definitely worth your attention. And that's all. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and like. See you in the next video.